Hello, Miami Dolphins Nation and people of the internet, I guess, of the podcast world. This is my first ever podcast. This podcast will mainly be focusing on the Miami Dolphins, everything to do with the Dolphins, but might be talking about other things, other parts of life, other sprinkles of life if they come up. But yeah, mostly will be everything Dolphins. So let's get this started. I'm a giant Miami Dolphins fan from Melbourne, Australia. Been a fan for many years. I've had Game Pass for many years, so I've been able to watch the game very closely, watch our team closely, study our players. So yeah, and I've been into the draft a lot the past couple of years. So I've been studying tape for many years now. So watching a lot of tape on YouTube and things like that, and games and yeah. So let's get started. So our options in the draft. I think I'll start on the draft first, or maybe I'll talk about free agency first. So seeing as though it was a pretty we brought our players back, but wasn't an eventful free agency. We didn't go out and sign those big ticket, big fish free agencies. People like Mike Wallace, Sue, we signed to a giant contract, but he's turned out to be a solid defensive tackle for us. So not complaining about that, but we've stick to what other great teams do. They sign back their own impactful players and build for the draft. So that's obviously what we're doing this year. So we brought back Kenny Stills on a pretty decent deal. He could have gotten much more on the open market, way more, 10 mil plus, maybe even 12 million, or maybe that was just the agent puffing up his numbers like they do every year. The agents put out press releases trying to bump up their client's contract, but didn't happen. Luckily for us, he wanted to come back, and he has a great relationship with Coach Gase, so he's come back. Also, we brought back defensive end Andre Branch on a beautiful team-friendly contract. He'll be a great player for us for another however long he sticks around, if he stays around for the life of the contract. But he's going to be a beautiful player for us. I liked his tape, watching him from when he came over from Jacksonville when we signed him from there. Great burst coming off the edge, great power, exploding off the ball. Just reminded me a lot of Cam. Not as great as Cam, but looked like a good explosive defensive end, who we didn't have besides Cam. So yeah, it's good that we brought him back on a nice deal. Also coming back was we signed Rashad Jones to a contract extension. Great that we got him back. He's been one of the best safeties in the league, and he's been a great safety for us for many years now. Going on 5 years now. So glad we got him back. He'll be back there in the with the DBs. He'll be the captain of the DBs, which is just in my opinion probably top 3 safety in the league. He can obviously intercept the ball. He's great at stopping the run, getting into the backfield, stuffing runs. He's great at helping over the top. Great tackler, one of the best tackling safeties in the league. Just a powerful tackler, powerful player. So great that we brought him back. And we also signed Ted Larson from Chicago Bears, a center who can play left guard and right guard too. So that was a great signing. He'd probably be some great competition in training camp, or might even start, who knows, but we'll sign him to a nice little deal. Good veteran inside lineman. We brought back John Denny, the solid long snapper, brought him back, so that's great. At least we know that we'll have no trouble there with the long snaps. It'll have confidence that the snap will never be botched. Will always be in the right spot, like he's been doing for years. And I also traded for William Hayes from the Rams. great run-stuffing defensive end. Not much of a pass rusher, but he'll be great for us. Who knows, he might even start opposite Cam or however that goes down. But great trade, great under-the-radar trade. He's going to really be good for us on that on the defense. And yeah, pretty much we just sent the 6th rounder over to Rams. No big deal. 6th round and 7th round picks. Not too much difference with them. Not too much difference with the talent you can get. You just got to know. Just got to find the right talent. So yeah, that was pretty much for free agency. Obviously, there's still more players to be signed, but now being the second week of free agency now, but we'll see how it goes. I think we should sign a veteran defensive tackle. We need that for our team because Jordan Phillips is way too inconsistent. Don't know what you're gonna get for him. He's got all the makings of a great tackle, but he's just too much inconsistency, and he's like his rookie year. He went and trained with Sue in the off season. He needs to go do that again. He did it last year. He needs to go and do that. Is really build up his stamina and just see how Sue does it, because Sue's obviously doing something right. He's so durable. He hasn't had an injury yet in his NFL career, so he's got to really just stick to Sue's hip and learn everything from him. So yeah, that was pretty much it for free agency. Was hoping to sign maybe Tremaine Johnson or something, but I don't think the team would want to do that. But he's been franchise tagged. But other than that, there's not really much else out there. And granted, I think we're pretty good with our cornerbacks. Tony Lippert really came around the corner last year, even though down the stretch, according to Pro Football Focus, he didn't play well. But I think he's a good cornerback, considering it was his second year switching to the position full time. So I think he'll be even better coming back his third year. Xavier Howard showed that he's a good cornerback, nice strong cornerback. He can great man defense, great tackler, just a solid cornerback that we can have on his side for however many years he's over here. And Byron Maxwell played well. He graded out to be the 11th best corner in the league. So even though he missed the last 4 games, he got injured, but he did come around and kind of got back to his Seahawks form. But yeah, I think we're fine with the cornerback position. There's so many corners in this year's draft. We can probably get one in the 3rd round. All right, speaking of the draft, I think we should move on to the draft. We'll have a talk about what options we've got at the 22nd pick and our 2nd round pick and 3rd round and our mid-round picks, and mostly talking about our 1st round pick. We really want to get a nice impact player there, preferably a defensive player, or maybe if there's a solid guard there that we can get, that will be great. So I think, moving on to the draft, I think that we should definitely be focusing on getting a talented linebacker, someone like a Zach Cunningham out of Vanderbilt. All his tape I've watched of him is just a solid, extremely talented linebacker. Just carried that defense on his back, led the SEC in tackles. Really good at getting to the ball, shedding blocks. Even though Mike Mayock said that he's a bit small and wasn't great to get enough blocks, all the tape that I watched, he was good. He was good getting off blocks, like powerfully getting off blocks, really good, showing the right technique and push, getting off blocks. But just very athletic, just flying, really quick out there, sideline to sideline. Just a solid middle linebacker, Mike linebacker, who we could plug in right in there with Kiko. Even though we've just signed Lawrence Timmons. Oh, that's another player we signed. Forgot about that. Lawrence Timmons from Pittsburgh. He'll be a good veteran linebacker for us. But however it goes in camp, I think a player like Zach Cunningham, you've got to put him out there straight away. Maybe move whoever you got to move to the outside, Kiko or Timmons, but Zach Cunningham would upgrade our defense immediately. He's just trust me. Go watch his tape, and you'll see he's the best linebacker in his class. Besides, of course, Reuben Foster, but he's got injury concerns and character concerns, like we saw with he had the issues at the combine with his medical testing, but might be a bit of a hothead. But you never know. The Alabama coaches apparently said that he's a great team leader with great character and work ethic. So you never know how things might shape out. So Zach Cunningham would be our first option. Next would be Dara Davis from Florida. Good little linebacker, great team leader. I don't mean little as in his stature, but just a figure of speech. But he's about Zach Cunningham's about 6'3". Jared Davis is about 6'2", 240 around there, 250 I think, 240, 250. Just a do-it-all linebacker who could come in straight away and help us off the bat. Not as athletic as Zach Cunningham, which for what you need in this league with all these, especially a team like New England with their great slot receivers. You really need fast linebackers out there. So, yeah, if we can't get Zach Cunningham, Jared Davis will probably be a good option. Not with the first pick, maybe in the second round, but then he'd probably be gone by our pick in the second round. So, yeah, you just never know. All right, so those are pretty much our first round linebacker options. Second round would be Raekwon Mcmillan from Ohio State. Just a great thumper, strong body, pretty athletic. I think he's got 4.6 speed. The combine 4.5, 4.6. I'm pretty sure. Talented linebacker who could, like the other two, just step right in and help us, which is what we need. We've just been plugging in mediocre talent at linebacker. We need real talent at linebacker, not just plug and play players like undrafted free agents and players like freaking Kawamisi, he's a good linebacker, but he's just injured way too much and we can't rely on him. So a good strong side linebacker. I think he played pretty well at Mike a couple of years ago, but we can't rely on him. He's just too injury prone. So we need to get solid linebackers. I think that's our number one need. So Raekwon Mcmillan would be great from Ohio State. Another linebacker, Duke Riley from LSU. Great speed. He's 220-pound linebacker, a little small, but 220-pound linebackers have shown that they can be good in this league. Like Talvin Smith from Jacksonville, good linebacker with impressive, insane speed. He's just can do it all out there. Deion Jones from Atlanta Falcons, a small linebacker too, around 220, 225. But he had a great first year, being the middle of that defense for the Atlanta Falcons. The Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl winning Atlanta Falcons, but the Falcons that got to the Super Bowl. That's pretty impressive for a rookie, being the quarterback of that defense. So Duke Riley from LSU would be a good option. He's got not quite as talented as Deion Jones, but he'd definitely be a similar player. He's got insane speed. And also Alex Anzalone from he doesn't play for LSU. That's Kendall Beckwith I was thinking of. Kendall Beckwith plays for LSU, Duke Riley's teammate. He'd be a good option, Kendall Beckwith. Probably maybe I would have a 4th round pick. Maybe in the 5th round we could get him. But Alex Anzalone. I liked what I saw from him at the Senior Bowl. Talented linebacker, good athleticism. He'd be nice to grab for us. Okay, so those are the linebackers for us. Also, another linebacker will be Hassan Riddick from Temple, but I don't really want to go to tweener again like Deion Jordan. We saw what happened with him. We didn't know what to do with him, and then he had. Granted, he's probably not the same character. There's not the same character, not the same kind of player. But I just want a pure linebacker. Maybe the team might like him, and I've been reading things about him, and people have been saying that he can play any linebacker spot, and he can rush from the edge. So who knows? Maybe he might be serviceable, but if we're going to draft a player, I really just want to know that they are a full-time linebacker, and I don't want another Dion Jordan situation. We've seen what's happened with that. We're all pretty much over that whole Dion Jordan situation. So yeah, that's it for the linebackers. So I think now, moving on to safety, I think is our second need, because Issa Abdul Quddus being injured and released. We need a talented safety to pair with Rashad Jones. So going through the safeties, most of the top talented guys we will probably be able to reach. Safety like Malik Hooker from Ohio State, great linebacker. Jamal Adams from LSU, he'll probably be gone in the top 5, top 10. We won't be able to get those guys. So I think maybe if we're that desperate for a safety, we could get Obi Malenfonwu, more of a second round option. But if the team obviously likes him, maybe we'll reach for him in the first round, like we did with Jawan James in 2014. Jawan James is graded as more of a second round pick, but we went ahead and took him in the first round, and he turned out to be a great right tackle for us, a solid right tackle he's been. So Obi Malenfonwu, 6'4", 220, 225, ultra athletic, like we saw at the combine, and made 4.4 speed, 44-inch vertical, absolutely incredible for his size. Watching his tape, he's just unbelievable to watch out there. Can track the ball well, obviously, but with his as you can tell, his interception production, but just great speed out there. Just really beats the ball carriers or wide receivers to the sideline. Just cuts them off. Just shows he's quicker than most players out there. Just really cuts off the sideline and tackles people out of bounds. Just great athleticism out there, and it's obviously great size, 6'4", can cover tight ends. Pretty good at defending the run as well, so he'd be a solid option there. It'd be great to see such a big safety out there who can really be a safety and a linebacker, by covering tight ends and things like that. But he's got great versatility. He played a bit of cornerback too at Connecticut, so he'd be. I'd love to grab him with that pick there. Next, in our range, who will be available is Buda Baker from Washington. Much smaller at 5'10", but players like the Honey Badger have shown who's even smaller at 5'8". Doesn't matter how big you are at safety, as long as you've got the desire and the want and the speed and the thump out there, you can just doesn't matter if you're that small. So Buda Baker from Washington, incredibly athletic. A lot of his tape that I watched, he was like covering like a corner, so he showed that he can do that well. Like super athletic, getting around blocks. Like the blockers rarely get onto him because he's just so agile and quick. Like he just gets around the block and bang, shoots for the ball carrier. Like is it like a solid tackler that's just got insane power. Like you can see that he could have been a great running back because he's just got great power out there with his tackling and everything that he does. So he'd be a nice little option for us at safety. Next option, probably more in the third round, Tedrick Thompson. Just a nice great little safety. A lot of interceptions in his college career, which is a good sign. It's a nice little safety we could get probably in the second. No, not second, probably third or fifth round. See, we don't have any fourth round picks. So yeah. Okay, so moving on to our next need would be defensive end. You could argue defensive end's a bigger need than safety, but in this day and age, there's a lot of teams using the three-step drop. Defensive ends kind of aren't as important as a safety, I'd say, because safeties do have so many more duties and responsibilities. So I'd rather get a good, talented safety who could fill a lot of roles for us. So defensive end, I think with our first round pick, Taco Charlton from Michigan would be a good player to get. Very powerfully built, like 6'6", 277, long frame, long arms. Really has many moves coming off the edge. He can spin moves, power moves. Really can get to the quarterback. So as he showed against Ohio State. Yeah, Tucker Charlton would definitely be my number one choice at defensive end. Another option is Derek Barnett, who I don't really like from Tennessee, but he had such good sack production that he'll get a lot of attention from teams. But I'm not really liking his explosion off the edge. I don't think he's that great of an athlete. Like, he doesn't have the power coming off the edge like Cam. Like, he's kind of like you want great power coming off the edge and speed, because with teams with their short, quick passes, they don't have that much of a chance to get to the quarterback. So you really want quick defensive ends there who have great 10-yard splits. So yeah, Derek Barnett, I really want to draft. Never know, they might, but yeah, I don't like him from Tennessee. Next is Kairos Mckinley from UCLA. Great athlete, incredibly explosive coming off the edge. Is great production in his lone first year starting. A lot of tackles for loss, which shows his great speed and explosion. So great sack production, and so that was probably our 3 first round options. Next in the second round, I think Demarcus Walker from Florida State. He played on the inside out and outside for Florida State. Great. Reminds me of Jonathan Allen from Alabama. Just stocky, powerfully built lineman who can just get through and around guards and tackles. Just amazing production at Florida State. I recommend you go watch his tape. You'd agree with me that he's powerful, kind of like Aaron Donald, like that. Not as great as Aaron Donald, but player with a lot of versatility. Another option would be Derek Rivers from Youngstown State. He's been showing up in some mock drafts. Was our 2nd or 3rd round pick. Not a fan of him. Don't think he's that athletic. Doesn't have great explosion getting off the ball. I think I'd pass on him. Okay, so that's pretty much our defensive end options. I'm sure there's more players, but haven't gotten that far into the draft. So I think those are our main options for the defense. I think also if a player like Jonathan Allen falls to us because he's got his arthritic shoulder problems, we should definitely grab him. Like Aaron Donald clone out there, just amazing to watch. Number 93 for the Crimson Tide, just really played so well. He's had just so much production, just incredible. He'd be great to pair with Sue or wherever. If they wanted to put him on the outside defensive end, that would be alright. But and also if like I already said before, I'd pass on Reuben Foster, depending on how the team feels about his character concerns. But so moving on, I think we should definitely be looking at getting a guard in the first round. Someone like a Forrest Lamp from Western Kentucky, great. He played tackle, but he's someone like a Zach Martin who can move to the inside. With their smaller arm length, they can be a better technician inside. From Western Kentucky, Brandon Dowdy's college that he went to, he'd be a nice option in the first round. Also, another option would be Dan Feeney from Indiana. Also, mostly played tackle, but he can kick into guard. He'd be awesome to put in there next to Mike Pouncey. Also in the first round, Garrett Bowles. Another it's funny, like all these tackles, they're seen as more of Garrett Bowles is mostly a left tackle, which we don't need. We already got Tunsil, so moving on from him in the second round. Or even Dorian Johnson from Pittsburgh. I'd even take him in the first round. I love what I've seen from him out there. It reminds me a lot of Pouncey. It looks like an even more athletic version of Pouncey. He'd be great to put in. He played mostly at left guard, which is vacant next to Tunsil, but he looks great out there. He's very strong, athletic-looking guard. Doesn't even look like a guard. He's a very lean, athletic-looking guard, which is what you want in this NFL. You don't want the fat little prodders like what guards used to look like a decade ago, but the NFL's changing a lot, and linemen are getting faster and stronger and leaner. So Dorian Johnson will be a nice little addition in the first or second round, depending on how far the team wants to reach. Also, another player, Danny Isidora from Miami, solid guard. We could probably get in the third or fifth round. Could compete in camp with Ted Larson. Moving on from the guards. Next, also a player who could play all 5 positions along the line, Ethan Pottage from LSU. He's being projected as being able to play all 5 positions. So, seeing as we already have Pouncey, but you never know what's going to happen with Pouncey with his hip or his hips. He's had surgery on both sides, I'm pretty sure. But Ethan Pottage from LSU, big lineman, 6'6", 300 plus. Showed like really great athleticism, similar to Tunsil at the combine. So he'd be great to grab. Just he could play any guard position. He'd be a solid addition to the team. Could really help shore up our line. That's pretty much our options. I think also we should look at getting even though we have 3 quarterbacks, we should look at getting a more talented one in the later rounds, which could be possible with Chad Kelly from Mississippi. Granted, he's shown that he's an idiot with all these off the field incidents he's had, but if you watch him at Ole Miss, he could have been a top 10 pick if he didn't have all these problems. He's a super talented quarterback who we could develop behind Tannehill. So I think he would be a nice option later on. There'll be another. The next edition of the podcast will be more. I'll be focusing more on other players, not predominantly first round picks that we can grab. So we'll be doing that in the next podcast. Also, maybe talking more of what's going on around the league. Probably have some more free agency news. We might be signing a couple more veterans. Who knows? We got enough cap space to do it. We can sign some nice, good salaries, and probably want to talk more about life and what's going on in my life, and so that's it. Thank you everyone for listening. My first podcast is probably a bit rough around the edges, but I'm sure I'll get better in time, and I'll bring you guys a great product, and you'll have a place to come and listen to solid Miami Dolphins coverage. So that's it for now. I forgot to mention at the start, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Actually, I think I mentioned that. I can't remember by now. I've done so much talking. So that's it. Okay, thank you for listening. Cheers, folks.